year. Now over here on Yud Bet Sivan, the 12th of Sivan, marks the Hilula of famous Italian rabbi. His name was Harav Ben Tzyon Raphael HaKohen Fritzi. Very, very famous rabbi. I believe he was born in English year 1756 in Mantuba and passed away on 30th of May in English year 1844. This was naturally the 12th of Sivan, Yud Bet Sivan. He would go on to become a famous philosopher. He'll be a doctor also a rabbi and the author of various different Torah works. And let's explore a few of the highlights of the famous rabbi's life. Now, it's actually interesting. I believe he was born in Mantuba. In Hebrew year, Hey Tav Kuf Tet Zayin. It was a time period, I think, when the Sultan in the city, let's just say, I think that position would actually go towards the Austrians, respectively, over there. This is something we've mentioned about on various occasions before. Remember, we're talking about it passed into the hands of the Austrians, and they would end up giving rights now to the Jewish community over there. Seemingly, there was, let's say, anti-Semitism taking place in Italy before that, or at a high level, which would have restricted the movement within regards to the Jewish community. But now, seemingly, they would relax, let's just say, these measures that they had initially. Part of the rights included the right to study at school and university. Now, Rabbi Fritzi would go on to, let's say, exercise this right. He would go on to study mathematics and medicine. And I think the first port of call for him over there would be a college, university over there. I think it was called the Jesuit University, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know much about it personally. And I think that was actually in Mantua, and then he would go on to the University of Padua or Pavla, respectively, over there. I think that university itself, I believe, was founded in the year 1361, so it's a very old university. He would study with a man of the name Johann Peter Frank, who was, I believe, in his day, a famous physician and expert with regards to physiology, hygiene, public health, respectively. So he was very much a pioneer, let's just say, in health and medical care in his point in time. He would also study, I believe, theology with a Rabbi Raphael, who I think was a famous Italian rabbinic writer and a musician. He himself, I think, was born in Venice. Now, later on in his life, Rabbi Fritzi would go on to study in the city of Padua, respectively. That was like a major city in Veneto, I think, in the northern part of Italy. It was a region of commercial activity and communications center. Now, it's actually interesting. The Austrian Emperor Joseph II would meet him and invited him to the University of Trieste, I think. Interesting enough, I think there'll be a meeting also with Shadal, famous Rabbi Shmuel David Luzzatto, who we've spoken about also on various occasions inside the series, another famous Italian rabbi. Come with the year, I think it was around 1814, if I'm not mistaken, he returned to his city and would serve, let's just say, as one of the rabbis there and also a physician at the same time. It's actually interesting. Famously, he will meet Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azilai. I think this is in the Hebrew, Yehetav Kuf Lamed Zayin. Remember, he is also popularly known as, in acronym, the Chida, one of the famous rabbis of Jewish history, without a doubt. I think they will meet in Mantuba, and they will have a 3-hour meeting, interesting enough, and they will talk about different topics. If I'm not mistaken, they will debate the topic of, let's just say, Shadim, demons, let's just say, and all these different topics over there. Not too sure. Haven't seen the context of the writings of what the debate actually entailed in of itself. And I believe the Hida will actually mention this meeting in one of his books. I think it was a book called Ma'agal, respective Ma'agal Tov. That was the name of the book over there. Now, it's actually interesting. There was another famous rabbi, Rabbi David Zakuto, would come out against him within regards to some of his writings. It's reported over. He would actually give a writing within regards to it. He would actually quote it. I'm quoting this actually from the Wikipedia article I've got over here. I think there's a source, also to be precise, I think from Rabbi David Sukut, from Momidino, from the Sefer Zecher David, I think from page 124. I try and say in Hebrew. Rabbi Ben Tzyon Raphael Pritzi, שעשה עצמו בן חורין לכתוב בהרבה חיבורים, סברות המנוגדות לקבל את חז"ל, ובנה אצלו דרכים שונים, אשר לא דרכיכם דרכיו, כי סידר על קדמות פילוסופיה, ולא על אדני האמונה Hut Vo'a. So seemingly Rabbi David Zakuto or Rabbi David Zahut would not be necessarily for maybe some of the teachings that Rabbi Fritzi would actually relate over, but maybe because of the philosophical nature within regards to let's just say his approach in of itself. Now it's interesting. I think he was famous for Rabbi Shmuel Luzzatto, who we've spoken about before, actually on various occasions before, and I think he would write a condolence poem, if I'm not mistaken, connected to him. I think inside he had a book called the Kinor Na'im, I believe. That was, if I'm not mistaken, the book of the Shadal, respectively. I think it would actually be on the first Gilion, respectively, on the 5th page. This specific poem was. Now he wrote books, Torah writings also. Rabbi Ben Sion did on a variety of topics, including in the books. He'd do a book within regards to Hespedim, the topic of eulogies. Minhagei Beit Knesset, within regards to synagogue laws, as I say, Minhagim, the customs. Within regards to Refuah, medicines, and Toranit, various. I think there'll be a philosophigia, connected book within regards to Torah Nevi'im and Ketuvim. He would talk about the Tzarat, I think, the teachings of the Rambam within regards to this, and we can see that he was very into intertwining science within regards to. He will talk about etiquette of the kingdom, laws within regards to slaves, respectively music. He'll be talking about the book of Tehillim also, and many more. I think through very interesting itself. Now I think there was another famous work. This was actually called Petach Enaim, if I'm not mistaken. That was a perush, an expoundation on Agadot Hashas through a philosophical lens, I think, which is interesting. We have to point this out over here using a more intellectual manner from philosophical report. I think it was printed in 7 parts. 3 of the parts was printed in 1885, if I'm not mistaken, and the rest was printed in 1888. Well, I have to double check those dates. That would be after he passed away, if that would have been the case. So I have to check if it was actually at the time period when he was alive or not. So that we'll have to just have a double confirmation within regards to that. And he was a famous Italian rabbi of his time, without a doubt. Yes, I think that was around the year 1877. So if it would have been 1877, he would have passed away around more than 30 years before that. Different goals there was, I think, within regards to writing these books. He would try to prove that Talmud is in harmony with current science. And very interesting. I think not everyone, as I stated on the onset, not many people would have gave the haskama to these books, because he felt himself the reason was that they weren't necessarily harmonious within regards to knowledge of sciences, but clearly the famous Rabbi David Zahut did not, he came out sharply against him. But very interesting enough, he did have the Shadal that was seemingly praising him, also Rabbi Shmuel Luzzatto. So we are history, at the moment we're trying to explore the history within regards to the famous rabbis of yesteryear during different time periods, especially in Italy. We've covered already maybe a good 80 to 100 Italian rabbis. He was working all over different cities in Italy, respectively. He passed away now, we're talking about nearly 180 years ago here from the time of recording, and he seemed like he would make his impression on various different dignitaries and important people in the country, especially non-Jewish people, just from all over the different vicinities, which is interesting enough. So I recommend everyone to look more into him. There's actually a lot of information about him on the internet. You can find, I think, a lot in the Italian language also. So the 12th of Sivan would be his Hilula at that point so which is very interesting. I think other things actually occurred during his time period. I think the French would conquer Mantua at that point in time. That's how they would receive the full civil rights at that point in time. And different powers passed several times between Austria and France, would improve and worsen throughout his time. The relations did with the Jewish community, and much more can be said within regards to him. So please learn more about the famous rabbis of yesteryear. He was about 88 years of age when he passed away. We're a community here. Please, everyone, subscribe to the channel. We are nearing a staggering 7,000 subscribers. If you know anyone interested in watching these videos, please share these videos to other people also. If you descend from any of these famous rabbis, also please send me an email. I would love to hear more. So wishing you well. 12th of Sivan is Hilula, and take care and have a good night, everyone.